Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are a new subscriber to my channel, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. We are over 2,000 subscribers now, and I just want to say thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. Okay, so today what I will be talking about is projects that I will be working on for the next several weeks. I have been working on the baby quilt. If you are familiar with my channel, you will know that I had a really disappointing outcome with the previous baby quilt I was working on. I did, oh God, I don't know how many embroidered blocks I made for the baby quilt. Once I had it all together and I stitched in the ditch in the quilt blocks, I washed the baby quilt. And if I talk about washing all of my fabrics, I pre-wash everything, then I starch it and press it, and I just like the quality of the fabric afterwards when I do pre-wash. It just helps me with shrinkage of the fabric later, and especially with machine embroidery, some of the fabrics will shrink. So I make sure I pre-wash all the fabrics. But when I did wash the previous baby quilt, when it was completed, a lot of my work, the stitches unraveled. It wasn't the stitches on the embroidery blocks themselves, and it's not these embroidery blocks. I will link the videos below, and you can watch those if you like to. I had washed those blocks, and my trusty Pfaff machine here off to the side, for some reason, I don't know if I had some type of setting in the machine. I had misset it, or there was a problem with the machine. I was trimming knots too short. I don't know. So what was happening was when I would stitch in the ditch and I would go to cut my threads, I had my settings, what I thought was to knot my stitches and to knot the tie-offs. And for some reason, when I went and washed the quilt, all those knots, either they weren't knotted, or I don't know what happened, but they unraveled. So I am now in the process of making a new baby quilt. And I'm really upset with myself because this project is taking a lot longer than what I anticipated it to take. And now what my problem is, I am second guessing everything that I do on this baby quilt. So this is one of the blocks that I thought about using. Let me show you the fabric. So this is the main fabric I am using for the baby quilt. And the baby, it's a non-traditional style baby quilt. And I want it to be a quilt that the baby can grow with over time, not just be used as their younger years as a baby. So I was thinking I want to make a quilt that they can grow with and use for several years. So I was thinking a twin size quilt, and I knew that this is my main fabric. I did purchase some other fabrics that I'm not sure if I'm still going to use yet. I will talk about those later in another video. But I was auditioning some quilt blocks. And I had purchased, there is a 3-piece set on Etsy. I can't think of the seller right offhand. I will link those down below if you are interested in the crazy quilt blocks. This was one of the 3 block set, and I really, really loved these when I first bought the designs. And like I said, I did buy these off of Etsy. Now what my problem is with this design, if I'm going to be making 10 to 20 blocks for a baby quilt or a twin size quilt, each one of these blocks, even on my large 12 needle embroidery machine, these blocks were taking almost an hour to stitch out. Now, there is a lot of beautiful stitching in this block, and you can see that the flowers are like multi-dimensional. I think that's the right word, but you can see that they have some really beautiful texture to them, and I really love the blocks. But what my problem is with it taking so long for each block, if I'm going to be doing even 10 quilt blocks, that's going to be 10 hours of work. Now this block, if I remember correctly, there was over 20,000 stitches per block, and I'm thinking more on the line of, I know this one has to be over 30,000 stitches. So that's a lot of time, even on a multi-needle machine. And being that you are using one color, because they are a kind of like a redwork style kind of block, that just a lot of time. So I nixed this block, and I will use these later in another project where I have time where I can just work on it leisurely without having to worry about a time constraint. And being my time constraint, I'm putting on myself because the baby is already 4 months old, and this project should have done before the baby was even born. And it would have been if the other quilt would have turned out. So I have nixed this block. Let me go ahead and put this back in my little keeper here. Okay, so the next block that I decided on was this one. And it is a very simplistic block. It is a Redwork design, and it is, this one I also bought on Etsy, and I will link the seller information below if you are interested in that. Please check the description boxes for that. I love this design. This is, it's only a one block. There's not multiple blocks to this one, and I like the simplicity of it. And I still may use this block. I'm not sure yet, but as you can see, let me go ahead and get the fabric out again. Sorry for the glare on the plastic case there. So as you can see, with the floral fabric and these types of orange flowers on it, I really liked that these were just some nice big large petal flowers on this design. So this is right now the #1 contender that I will be using with this fabric. And I pulled some of the members of a quilt group I belong to on Facebook, and they just said, well, either you can do a log cabin type of block or just do strips around the block, or set it on point, which I could do as well, which would be, I could use less blocks if I did set them on point. If you're not familiar with what on point means, instead of your block being straight like this across your quilt, what it would be is it would be turned on, literally on point. And what you would be doing is you'd be taking fabric, and you would be, let me grab one of these. What you would be doing is you would be taking a triangle piece of fabric, and I know this isn't to size, but you would be adding it to each side let's get this back on point. You would be adding it on the sides. And of course it's going to be, you know, the triangle is going to be, let's just kind of maybe fold this a little. But it's going to be like so, and you're going to be adding a triangle to each side to get a square block to help you construct the quilt. If you are familiar with my channel and you've seen the chandelier quilt, that is constructed on point. Those rows, the blocks are on point when you construct it. So that is one of the ideas that somebody came up with, is that I could take the orange fabric and then do that. I do like that idea because it will require, I guess, kind of less work. It's very simplistic, but then the block would be like the interior portion of the larger quilt block. I hope that's understandable. So there is that idea, or something that's very, very simple, and I would just take the quilt block, cut strips of this fabric, and sew them in strips around the block. I like that idea as well. Keep it simple, and have the quilt blocks and the fabric just be the beauty of the quilt. I do have a green fabric here where I could maybe incorporate, I did buy it for this quilt, where I could do a cornerstone maybe with the green in the strips. So that's an idea that I can do. I still have to prep this fabric. You can see that it isn't folded very neatly. I have pre-washed these. I do wash all my fabric with detergent, and I also use at least a minimum of 1 cup of white vinegar. And when I wash my fabrics, I wash them in either cold water or warm water. And if I do use a warmer water or even a hot water, what I do is I fill the machine up with the water, and I let the fabric sit in that vinegar water. And what that does is it helps set the dyes in the fabric. Now, that may be old school way of doing it, but it's always worked for me, and I'm just going to stick with what works for me. I know there's a lot of people that you don't need to pre-wash. Well, I've seen many people talk about when they go to wash their quilts afterwards, the colors bleed. And being that there are light colored fabrics, and especially being that the block is going to be stitched on the cream colored fabric, I don't want any of those other colors to bleed into the embroidered blocks. Okay. Now, with that said, I started second guessing myself again. Is this block going to be too simplistic? Some people may think yes, some people may think no. So what I went again and did is I searched for more blocks. And I want to stick with the Redwork kind of theme, where it's just all one block stitched out in the same color. And their colors are orange. So what I did is I looked for Redwork quilt block designs for the embroidery machine. And what I found are these designs. And I don't know, they might be a little bit hard to see, and I do apologize for that because I print everything in black and white. I don't like using color because saving money. This is a 10-piece set, and you can see that I bought this from Designs by Juju. And what I really like about this set is it will add a little bit more excitement, I think, to the quilt blocks, because you can see that there are ladybugs in it and dragonflies and some more dragonflies. Here's another ladybug. This one's just a floral. There are butterflies in them. Here's a big dragonfly and another big butterfly. And I really like this. There's 10 different designs. It would add more to the quilt, but still kind of keep it simplistic at the same time. But I don't know if it would be too fussy, but I do like this idea, and I may go with this idea. If I go into, I print everything out when I buy a embroidery design, because what I like is I like going to a file, a hard copy file like the paper, and I don't have to boot up my computer for it, search for the design. I just know I have it in a folder, and I group everything in folders or these little, like these little plastic sleeves. When I'm working on a project, I keep everything in these little snap envelopes. And if you're familiar with my Temu hauls, we won't get into those, but I purchased some packs of these on Temu, so that's where you could look for plastic envelopes. So I keep everything in kind of like little files like that, so I can refer to the paper. Okay, so when I print everything out, I print out I think these are called design cards. When you look in your file, I think some people just call them the PDF instructions. Some designers call them, I've seen design cards, I've seen color charts. There's many different names that they call these. So I can't remember what Designs by Juju calls them. This is just the Redwork Garden blocks. What I like about printing these out is that I have the sizes listed. It comes in 4 different sizes. There's a 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, and a 7x7. I will be doing either the, this is a 7 3/4 block. If I do these particular designs, I will be doing the 7x7 and just leaving, either leave them at 7x7 or add like a border around them when I do the fabric, so there's some breakup. I'm not sure how these are going to stitch out yet, so I'm still playing with that. Okay. So also when you buy embroidery designs, please read your notes. I've had somebody email me, and I always try to include my email when I am talking about a video. And let me show you. I always kind of pop this little thing in. I try to. Sometimes I do forget, so I can't say always, but I'll pop this in. It's my videos. And if you want to email me, you can always email me at jsnc18@gmail.com. The JS and the C do not need to be capitalized. I'll still get the email. It's not case sensitive. So what happened is I had somebody email me on the previous baby quilt, and she said something about, you know, I bought this design and it doesn't include the quilt block size I want. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't, you know, I was using a 7x7 or an 8x8 block, I think is what that, I can't remember right offhand. I haven't looked at that quilt for a while because I was so upset with it, so I can't remember. But I think they were either 7x7 or 8x8s. But usually when you buy, I know, sorry guys. I know this is a lot of rambling on. But save yourself the stress and read all the descriptions of the design you're going to buy. Don't depend on, like me, the YouTuber to tell you what the design sizes are, because you may go and buy the design like the lady did, and it wasn't in a size that she wanted. So always read what sizes they are, and also read what format. I guess like this one, it says, please be sure to examine all letters prior to purchase. Your download is a multi-format zip file that will include the following formats in subfolders. So if you know what your embroidery file format is, it will, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be listed for you. Some designers will say all formats included without listing what those formats are. I have experienced that on some of the Etsy embroidery designs. Also on Designs by Juju, what she does include is that she includes a note here that for the specific sizes of the blocks, so it's a 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, and a 7x7. Guys, I know I'm rattling on, but this stuff can save you a lot of stress later. So what her note here is on the bottom is, please note that the SEW and the PCS files are for the 4x4 hoop only. Okay, so make sure you always read the notes, because it says for the SEW and the PCS files are for the 4x4 hoop only and are not included for the larger designs. So you will only have your 4x4 block for those two formats only. So if you're looking for a smaller block and you have a like my FAF machine is a VP3 file format, I will not get that 4x4 size for my machine. So always make sure that you read the instructions and the descriptions of the designs. This lady went off on me saying, well, you didn't tell us that size was not included for those designs. I'm sorry, guys, that's not my responsibility to tell you that. That may seem a little harsh, but it's not. Read your designs, read the instructions, read the descriptions. That's going to save you a lot of stress. I'm just sharing with you guys what I like, what I've bought, and hopefully what I've just told you is going to help save you guys some stress later. Okay, now with that all being said, when I print out my designs, I like printing out the size charts, because what that's going to do is it is going to, so for those particular files, the 4x4, I know I'm not going to look at the 4x4s at all. So sometimes what I do is I go and I just put an X through those, because I know I can't use that. So, or I'll even just do something like this. I know I can't use that design. So what I do is I will then, what design I am going to be using, I will be using the 7x7. So I go in and I find the 7x7 and I highlight those instructions. So when I go to look at my printout later, I can look at it quickly and I can say, okay, the 7x7 I am using, this is the instructions for that block, this is the instructions for the 7x7 in this block, and it's just a little bit easier and time saving to do that ahead of time, that when I am working on the project, and if I need to look at the instructions or the design cards, the design sheets, quickly, I can just flip it open, go right to where I need to go. So what these also will tell you is not only, excuse me, It'll tell you your color changes. Since these are Redwork blocks, it's just one color. So it's going to be 1 of 1. And it has your stitch counts in these as well. So your first block is going to be 19,547. So I can figure maybe 20 minutes per stitch out. So that is going to save me a lot of time in the long run. So where I showed you this block, and I was talking about the time that it took to stitch out this block, even on a high-speed machine, like my 12 needle machine, this took almost an hour, 45, 50 minutes or something like that is what it took to stitch this out. Now, I did have some issues when they did stitch out. So, I mean, you've got to kind of like include that in your time frame. If there's like needle breaks or any thread nesting. There wasn't a lot of, there's a little bit here in this section, and this is where my thread snagged and started to like fray a little bit, and I had to change the needle because I forgot to change it before I started the project. So always include those little things that may happen when you're going to start a project. If you're on a time constraint, make sure you look at those. So where a block will take 45 to 55 whatever minutes, add a little bit of time in there for if you do not have a multi-needle machine like I do. Think about what it's going to take, the time it's going to take to hoop, the time it's going to take to, you know, put your batting on there, center it, get all that stuff done. Allow time, add time to that for needle breaks or thread breakage, anything like that. So you estimate what it's going to take to stitch out each block. So, you know, 10 blocks, 50 minutes per block. I rounded it up to an hour to include any of those like thread trims that if there wasn't a thread trim already programmed into the design, if I had to do those, anything like that. And again, single needle machine, if it's a multicolored block, to change your thread colors on those, you know, things like that. Include that in the block. So even if I just made 10 blocks, that's 10 hours of work just on the embroidery blocks. So make sure you include your include that in what you are going to be doing, because like me, I put myself on a time constraint to make this, and I have failed horribly on that. I've bypassed that time frame 3 times over by second guessing myself on what I'm going to do. Okay, so again, sorry for the long rant, but that is always something that you want to look for when you're going to be starting a project. Think about your time, and basically, if you do have a time frame to complete a project, you know, include that. I lost my train of thought. And then if you're just making it for the joy of making it, the project, you know, you're not putting yourself on a time frame. It doesn't have to be done by a certain date, anything like that. Just enjoy yourself. But okay, so with that said, I have all my little notes here that I need. Designs by Juju is absolutely fantastic about including all that in her instructions and the descriptions. So I always try to print those out. Okay, so let's put this aside, and we're going to put this. And if anybody is interested in these little boxes, sorry about for that glare. I got my ring lights here, and I know my lighting may be awful right now. With switching the office around since I got the new computer system, I had to eliminate some of the lights because they just do not work in the areas. Okay, so I got these boxes. I think this is a, what size is this one? Let me look here. I think it was a 14. Yeah, this is a 14-inch box. They do have 12-inch boxes at some other stores, but I bought these. I bought 2 of them. I bought a clear one and this green one, or teal. I don't know if that's green, teal. I purchased these at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I want to say Michael's. They were on sale, so I bought 2 of them. And I was able to get them at a really good discount because I had some of my coupons and things saved up. So when they were on sale, I purchased 2 of them. And I really, really love that I can put basically everything for the project inside of it, except for my pre-cut things. I've got my blocks here. I've got my batting. And then I have my stabilizer, my cutaway stabilizer. I really like using the cutaway stabilizer. Somebody said that I should use a water-soluble stabilizer when I am doing my quilt blocks. But, you know, I do have some extra on hand. I bought another roll of it. But, and that just will help eliminate some of the bulk later. But, you know what? I just don't know. Does it add that much more bulk if you're just doing without the batting on it like this? I don't know, because I will be trimming these away when I do trim the blocks. So I don't know. What do you guys think about using a cutaway when you are doing the blocks? In some of the instructions, it does say to use a cutaway. So there's that. I do have my next one, my cutaway hooped. And when you have a project that is not going to fit into the hoop, and what I mean by your design may fit into the hoop, but if you have a stabilizer that isn't going to fit into the hoop all the way, line it up as well as you can with the top and the bottom or the edges. I like doing top and bottom because I find that there's kind of less pull. I don't know if that's just in my head or what, but what I do is I flip it over and I use a 1-inch masking tape, and I will tape this edge, flip it over, run my finger on the stabilizer so it does kind of stick to that tape, and then I pull it. You can see there I have it kind of around the hoop. I pull it so it's a little tighter. And this one has loosened up a little bit, so I will have to tighten it a little bit more. But it just kind of helps that stabilizer right there see, because let me show you here. It doesn't quite meet the edge, and that's my own fault because I did not buy the 15-inch stabilizer. And when I was using my FAF machine, I wasn't doing a lot of larger quilt blocks like that yet at that time. So I just bought the 12-inch stabilizer. It saved me a little bit of money, but I am using the tape. So I will show you how I do that. And I just pull off a piece plenty long enough, and from here to here is where it's not. So what I do is I just put the tape. I can cut a little more of that off. I don't need a piece quite that big. So I make sure I have enough. I try to go at least an inch beyond where right here. So it's right to here and to here. And I try at least go an inch beyond that, just so I know I have the tape on there, and I put at least a 1/2 inch of the tape on the stabilizer. I flip it over and I run my nails, my fingers kind of on that tape, so I know it's going to stick to that stabilizer really well. I flip it back over, lift the tape up, and I'm not lifting it off the stabilizer. I'm just going to pull the tape so the stabilizer's a little more taut, and then I just kind of tape it down. And it helps with to get the stabilizer tighter. Okay, so that is one of the things that I'm going to be working on now. This is going to be one of the big things consuming my time right now. So if you guys have any questions or comments on this project, please leave them down below. I will leave the Etsy seller information and the name of the block. And again, like I said, there are 3 different styles of this crazy quilt embroidery block. Again, with the, where did I put it? With the, I don't know where it went, down here at the bottom. With this one, I will leave the seller information for that. And again, the Redwork Garden blocks are designs by Juju. I will leave all those down below. That way you can go to the seller and research those if you are interested in them. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about which designs you like better out of these 2, the Redwork blocks and this one. This one I've already decided I'm not going to do just because of the time again. So we're setting that one completely aside. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and we will see you again really soon for the next video. I'm going to be on a big filming spree today. I've got stuff stacked up here underneath. We're just going to work down through the stack, and I hope to see you guys all soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.